Today on Dead Plymouth Garage, will this swap monster run and drive after, I don't know, some number of years? Outlook, This is a 1964 Plymouth Belvedere, the cheapest B-body they made. This two-door post model is my favorite of this line. I like the squared-off looking roof as opposed to the bubbly roof of the hardtop. It's just me. It's actually the same roof as this four-door sedan. But, you know, things are a little different. This is actually a really cool car, too. We can talk about that later. The two-door post makes a great race car. It's lighter and it's rigid. In the day, this Belvedere and its, related cousins were the go-to of match racers that wanted to represent Plymouth or Dodge. The post being one of the favorites, although there were many hardtops built for the same purpose. This car has seen some things, and it's a little rough around the edges, but, not too bad. The moss content is a little higher than I like to see. Air shocks. Shocking. The fuel filler on this car hides behind the license plate. I wonder what this smells like. Whew. Yep. Like you'd expect. Yeah. There's some seasoning for sure. There's some stuff missing in here already. It's almost like it wants to be a drag racer. That's fine. Let's say a guy had a 426 Hemi and he was looking for a period style race car to drop it in. That could be it. However, this engine compartment is not empty. There's a Poly 318 in there. That's kind of cool too. That kind of tells the story, doesn't it? This is definitely extra. Now, this one's interesting because someone else has already been here. In fact, judging by the looks of things, multiple somebody else's have been here. And we've got this deal, so that's cool. We'll know for sure we have oil pressure. The spark plugs are over here in a box, but there are other random plugs laying around. Clearly, someone or someones have tried to make this thing run, and it didn't go well. So one has to wonder, what's this smell like? It smells like bad gas. That's what it smells like. It's not super overfull though, so that's a good sign, I guess. It's definitely still oil, so we're gonna call that good enough and move on. The throttle does move. At first, the kickdown lever down on the transmission didn't want to though, so that's interesting. I've never seen that before. The cooling system looks how one would expect. There's a little bit of juice in there, so that's something. There is a new brake master cylinder. I wonder if it does anything. No. This is actually worse than I thought. Like, kind of a lot worse. Yeah. Oh yeah, 64 Plymouth cowls rust. I don't know why, I just do. Ugh. Now, I have it on authority that in the most recent attempt to get it running, it wouldn't really crank over. Battery cable issue, probably. Let's find out. As usual, I have no choice but to rob the perfectly good battery out of the car that has to still get me home later. What could go wrong? I don't really see how any of this could be a problem. This seems fine. No fire yet. Well, one thing I forgot to check. Maybe because I wasn't ready for the disappointment. Well, it's not totally empty, but it's definitely low and it probably won't move. Well, I almost can't believe this, but there is a key, so let's see what happens there. Hey. Yeah, look at the amp gauge. See it dipping? pretty sure that means we actually have ignition power. Alright, let's put some spark plugs back in. I don't know why, but I really like it. This is just some random grab bag of spark plugs. I'm sure it'll be fine. You know, I actually really like Poly 318s and Poly engines in general. Sure, they're big heavy boat anchors and, you know, they make about as much horsepower as a Honda Civic, but I just really like them for some reason. There's something funny about throwing something in the car and then shutting the door and hearing it come back out and hit the ground. It's possible I love the Poly engine because it's Hemi adjacent. Or maybe just because it's ancient and archaic. I like archaic things. When this engine was engineered, weight didn't matter. Economy didn't matter. Well, they did kind of care about saving money. It's actually why the Poly exists, because the Hemi was too expensive to produce, what with the double rocker shafts and all. In spite of that, this is a very well engineered piece. Forged crank, tough bottom end. Yeah. Of course, it's got canted valves, you know, like a big block Chevrolet. But better, because it's not a Chevrolet. You got it. If you happen to not be hip to Poly engines, a quick look in this area might give you a hint that, well, they're a very close relative of the later LA engine. So you can do a lot of the same stuff and bolt on a lot of the same things. Sure, an easier set of plugs to do than an LA engine, I'll tell you what. Easier than a big block too, for that matter. The only thing that would be better, you know, Hemi. Hey, here's a hot tip. These spark plug wires were all unhooked and they were kind of jumbled. They had sort of almost tried to set them in order, but didn't. Here's an easy way to check. Look for a wire coming this way, which is going to be 1, and then a pair of wires going that way, which are going to be 8 and 4. And go around from there and make sure the order's right. Hey, unrelated, why is this cap loose? Ancient test lead. Don't lose that. It might be important. Now, on this particular level of car, screwdriver works fine, but I thought, what the heck? Let's get the button. Let's crank it over and see what the compression sounds like, yeah? Well, not great. Well, sounds like 2 dead ones to me. Now, before I got to this, it did actually have oil put down the cylinder, so if there was any hope of that compression coming back, it kind of should have been doing it already. But let's see if it'll fire up on, you know, 4 or 5 or 6 or however many cylinders anyway. With that crappy looking fuel over there. Drink up, me hearties. Yo-ho! Despite having the old button out there, the key actually works better because it gives full 12 during cranking. So, let's see what happens. Not so much as a fart. I could have been misled by the dancing amp gauge, so let's see if we have spark. Well, there was 1. Okay, let's scrub the points. Well, scraped around in there with a screwdriver, and we now have consistent spark. Looks a little weak, but let's see what we get. Every time with this thing. Interesting. Really doesn't want to party. Now, just in case we had any questions about where that compression was going, that should answer them. One of 2 things is happening here. Not enough fuel or weak spark. So I went ahead and dumped 1/4 gallon into the carburetor. Let's see what happens now. making some smoke. Oh! Ah! Ah! Ugh. Okay, so it was the former. Man, this thing's thirsty. Well, okay. Yeah, like that, I guess. Hold your breath. That's disgusting. The fuel pump was actually moving a little something. And I'm seeing and smelling horrible old fuel down here as I remove the tank line, so... always with the bad gas smells. Hey, yeah, it works. That filter down there was just clogged solid. Let's hook up an extended range fuel reservoir, shall we? I apologize to anyone watching from France for not pronouncing reservoir correctly. Unfortunately, after starting that 73 Charger the other day, our fuel supply is getting a little skinny. Oh! All of that. Here's to magic! More magic! I'm sure there will be magic here soon. Well, I pulled the fuel line out and it was full of fuel, so the pump's definitely moving it. Maybe the carburetor just requires some doctoring, you know? Come on now, live! There's a spider in the carburetor. I mean, come on, give me a fuel volcano at least. Every time. I don't know why I'm even doing that. It's not like it's gonna do anything. It's a no, gang. I just had a flashback to trying to get that 70D300 to run. On that one, the needle and seat were clogged solid. That could be what's going on here. Let's find out. Well, there's no fuel yet. Oh, there it is. Of course, on this style of carburetor, the needle and seat's super easy to remove, so at least there's that. No, it moves, and it's not clogged, and there's actually fuel in there, so I'm thinking all the passageways are clogged solid. Might require more beating. Oh, or there's another exciting possibility. All the fuel that pumped in there already is not flammable. Ah, come on. Let's see it. Do the thing. Start and run. Please run. Oh. Well, there's that fuel volcano I wanted. Just weird, I just checked that thing and it was fine. Well, once again, I'm covering old gas. Hopefully, it was worth it. All right, that's progress. Well, oh. Well, is that just gonna keep happening, I guess? Now sure, there's a major fire risk here now. The mouse house stuff's all soaked in gasoline, but you know, the real tragedy is we're running out of fuel. Let's see if the float's moving. That's harder to do than you'd think, but huh. Maybe not. I don't think this is actually a Carter BBD. I think it's like a Stromberg or Holly equivalent. I don't know. Anyway, it's basically the same animal, which is great because the BBD is my favorite carburetor. Super easy to work on. Let's take the lid off and see what the float is doing in there. If it's not happy, we'll fix it. If it's really, really not happy, we'll go grab another one of these off the core pile. You remember this technique, right? Man, I can't believe it. I actually tore a gasket. Well, multiple mysteries answered here. It's a Holly and the floats are stuck. That whole assembly came out violently. It's cool they're nitrofill or whatever instead of brass, so they can't sink. They can stick though. Like it never happened. Don't be tempted to try and run it with the carburetor in pieces like this to check what's going on in your bowl. I've already done the research for you, and I can tell you it ends in fire. Maybe I should set this thing on fire, actually. All right now, guy. Burning daylight here. You with it or not? Almost with it. Considering being with it. My phone died. Cheeseburger. So, while my phone charged, I did some things off camera. Got more fuel in that can, and Tom said, hey, start it up real fast. Let's take a clip for the guy. Okay, I did that. Then I wedged that can of ether in the fan. So, well, let's just say the cooling system's no good at this point. I also got greedy and checked the brake master cylinder in. Well, there's stuff in there, so maybe we're driving it. The good news is, it does this. Well, okay. Well, we might have 8 pump brakes there. Let's try this again. Well, sometimes there's main fuel. Yeah, that's a problem. There we go. Permanent, temporary choke holding device. We're running out of daylight here, so we better find out if this thing drives. What could possibly go wrong? Oh, yes! Whee! Hey, that is a brake! Remember that whole no cooling system thing? Not only does this gauge actually work, it's giving me bad news. That's unfortunate. Anyway. Oh, it's all great. Everything's great. Well, I think we all learned a valuable lesson today. Mopars don't die. They just take naps, you know? Sometimes for 30 or 40 years in the bushes. We learned that two-door post B-bodies are cool and should definitely have big, huge engines and do wheelies and stuff. We learned once again that old gas smells bad. We learned something about empty cans of ether, and we learned a very valuable lesson about cell phone batteries, I think. Now all I have to do is put it in there and try not to bounce it off of any of these other valuable relics. I also need to put the battery back in my charger so I can go home. Oh yes, we also learned once again that we really need some kind of test track out there. We have to test drive cars all the time. I mean, I could think of nothing better. Okay, darling, give me one more start, would you? It's a self-fixing Plymouth. Too good. Oh, note I was shifting gears there with the old telegraph transmission, the push button. The park didn't want to move at first, but I went ahead and fixed that because safety. Now, the parking brake was set the whole time too. Clearly it doesn't do a lot. Look what happens when you push it though. That's a cool feature. I would have liked to take it over and give it a bath, but well, the sun is setting in the sky. I really do like this body style. What do you think? Drag car project? Okay, there is one more thing I have to do. And it's make that one run, because it's kind of in the way of getting the 68 Charger out. That's a Monday Jamie problem. Well, there you go. Thanks for watching. If you want to see more, you know, scungy relics revived and driven around in a field or something, feel free to subscribe, because, well, I got more coming. And remember, I am Groot. We'll go ahead and leave the choke holder in place. I've got some more ideas for this car. Needs a radiator first. Yeah, this part of this operation's getting a little old. Restored. Just your regular old work truck. A good news, everyone! The charger died. So the thing about the main ignition power is, well, it works better when it's tight. Whew! All right, we learned a valuable lesson.